With John Hodson. He's a lifelong collector of Princess Diana memorabilia.
Right.
We're here at the Branson Exhibition Center, and you're going to give us a quick rundown of what's here.
That's right.
All right.
Well, when you start the exhibit, you actually come into Althorp, which is Diana's ancestral home. Diana and her family moved into Althorp in 1975 upon the death of her grandfather, and it is a 75-room stately mansion in the Northampton countryside of England, and that is where Diana is laid to rest on the island in the lake. The chairs in the center of the room are actually reproduction chairs from the Wooton Hall at Althorp. Earl Spencer, Diana's brother, does have a furniture collection, and the money raised does go to preserve the house and the grounds at Althorp. But those chairs are signed by Charles Spencer, Diana's brother, and makes them rather special to the collection. In this gallery, we also have several other items that are pertaining to the Spencers. We do have wine bottles that are signed by her father. We also have postcards signed by her other family members, and other things that relate to the Spencers.
Do you want to show me a couple things that you think are
Sure.
interesting?
Let me show you over here. We do have the wine bottles, which are signed by her father. Earl Spencer, Diana's father, liked to keep the house open every day of the year but Christmas Day for visitors that would come and see him. And we also have doorknobs. These doorknobs did belong at the Althorp estate. They were given to the woman in the photograph who was married to George, who was the head butler at Althorp. And I was corresponding with their granddaughter, Hannah, and Hannah was very kind to donate those to the collection. Now, to give you a little bit of history about the Spencers and the Washington family, George Washington's ancestors were the nannies to the Spencer family, and it was the Spencers who funded for the Washingtons to come to America. A little bit of history not many people know about. So as you walk through the exhibit, we do have it on this lovely storyboards, but we also have it through multimedia. People can get the story either way that they choose. Or I do take people on personal tours and give them the update to the collection. This is part of a 6,000-piece collection. I've been collecting Diana items since I was 8 years old. And so what you see here are over 2,000 artifacts relating to her life, including 6 of her actual gowns. Those gowns were purchased in 1997, 8 weeks prior to Diana's passing. Maureen Dunkel purchased those dresses.
Wow, all right. And now this is, on this side, we have some other, as you're walking through, items, there's actually mini exhibits.
Well, there's several exhibits on Diana. There's the Diana Celebration, which does include the wedding dress, but this exhibit is mainly to give you the human connection with Diana. This is to basically show you the fact that she was not just a princess who lived in a palace. She was a real human being who touched people's lives in so many ways. And Diana resonates so well with so many different people in the world. It's amazing all the things that she did.
Mm-hmm. Now you were on the BBC, is that right?
No, I actually was, I've been on several different TV programs relating to Diana. We did Good Day Tampa Bay down in Florida. There was also some articles written about me in the local Venice paper down in Florida where I used to reside. Right. So there's several newspapers there. So.
All right, what's next?
Okay, let's go into the wedding gallery. In the wedding gallery, we do have a slice of her wedding cake. It is 29 years old. It was a fruit cake. It was baked in March for the July wedding. And that particular slice of cake was presented to Edward Harrison, who was the chief chauffeur to Her Majesty the Queen. The cake is a very special piece in the collection. We also have invitations to wedding events and different events that for the wedding. This was the invitation that was for the supper that was for the evening prior to the actual wedding. And we also have the table plans for the dinner that was for the Duke of Edinburgh and Prime Minister Thatcher's husband. And also some of the high-end commemoratives for the royal wedding.
Now, was it the wedding that was one of the most watched events ever on television?
One of the most watched events next to her funeral in 1997. So it's interesting how 2 major events in Diana's life, the beginning and the end, were watched by billions of people around the world. This is the original Christmas card from 1981 from Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. This particular card was also presented to Edward Harrison, that chief chauffeur to Her Majesty the Queen. And it is signed by the Queen and Prince Philip. We also have the original order of service from their wedding, as well as the wedding breakfast booklet for that day, as well as the table plan from the luncheon that was held at the Bank of England. And we also have framed copies of those as well. This is the first of Diana's dresses. This dress was designed by Catherine Walker. Now, Catherine Walker designed over 1,000 items for Diana when she was alive. Catherine Walker just recently lost her life to breast cancer this past September, so we're very lucky to have several of Catherine's fashions in here. Now, to give you a little bit of perspective about Diana, she was 5'10". Her dresses ranged between a 4 and a 14 during the entire time she was alive, and at the time of her death, she was a size 8. But the dresses are very special. She used to come to dinner in this dress on the Royal Yacht Britannia, and she would wear it barefoot, wearing no shoes at all, to dinner. Very special little thing about the dress. We also have the items from the honeymoon. This is where they did spend their honeymoon. They spent it on the Royal Yacht Britannia. And we do have the plate that was commissioned by the Royal Yachtsmen, the photograph of Charles and Diana on their honeymoon cruise, the cap that actually was on from one of the crew members from the day. We also have ship messages from the actual ship on board the Britannia. This is talking about the extended family that Diana married into. We have wedding cake from Sarah Ferguson's wedding to Prince Andrew. We also have the investiture mugs from when Prince Charles became the Prince of Wales. And coronation items from 1953. Very special. This is the second of the dresses. This one was designed by Catherine Walker and is the Scottish ball gown. Diana wore this dress dancing at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. She also wore this dress to the Royal Marsden Hospital benefit at the Guildhall.
Is that felt?
It's velvet.
Velvet.
Black velvet at the top. It's beautiful. Now, when Charles and Diana got married, what you saw was an industry that was created, and this is the industry that was Charles and Diana. And this gives you an idea as to the commemoratives that were made for the royal wedding. Now, immediately after Kate and William announced their engagement just recently, within 4 hours, souvenirs started to be made. And so this gives you an idea as to what kind of industry that is for the people of England. Well, now Diana is the Princess of Wales, and she's out performing her duty, and we have several things from when she actually was the Princess of Wales. The plate there is actually when she gave her first speech in Welsh. We also have the program from when they went to Romeo and Juliet in 1981. We also have the menu plaque from a dinner they attended in 1988, and other items that relate to her being the princess. This dress here was designed by Victor Edelstein, and Victor Edelstein did design the dress that she wore to the White House in 1985 where she danced with John Travolta. This dress she used to wear privately at Kensington Palace, her London home. More items relating to that industry.
There's also newspaper articles along the wall.
Yeah, the newspaper articles on the wall that more or less shows you the public reaction to Charles and Diana and how special they were to the people. We do have the chair as well. The chair actually did come from the Northwest Territory. It's a one-of-a-kind chair, and it's a very special piece. Take it through this way, we'll just show you the funeral section. This dress she wore these two dresses. The one here is to the Dynasty dress. This is the dress she wore to Vienna in 1986. We also have the dress that she wore to the premiere of Back to the Future in 1985, which is amazing.
Now this voice, what is this voice?
That is Diana's voice. It's on answering machine messages that were left for her personal friend, Simone Simmons.
It's Diana. I'm on my way to tennis for 1 hour.
That's Diana's voice.
Got so much to tell you, but I think you might have gone ghost hopping in that house. But anyway, I had this thing switch back at 1. Whatever. I'll catch you later. Lots of love, man. Bye.
As well as the Christie's auction catalog from the sale of the dresses in 1997, 8 weeks prior to the passing of Diana. We also have the hardbound copy of the catalog. And of course now the walls changed to black, and 8 weeks after the Christie sale, Diana did lose her life in an automobile accident. And the way most people remember it is through the newspaper articles that you see on the walls. And we do have the poster that was hung in the underground over in England so that people would know how to get around London that day. Shows you the route of the cortege as well as the departure for Althrow. And then we also have a High Court copy of Diana's will. Most of Diana's estate was left to Prince Harry because Prince William will one day become king and inherit the keys to the kingdom. She also made provisions for her 16 godchildren. However, those godchildren did not receive any monetary money from Diana's will. They received collectibles from her mother and her sister, who actually were the executors of the will. And of course, we notice the flowers. The flowers are a tribute to Diana. That is what everyone remembers, you know, outside all the palaces, all the flowers that were there. And we recreated it. And they actually ran out of flowers in England. They had to import them in from Holland and from France the weeks of the funeral. And this is Diana's former home. This is Kensington Palace. It also was the former home of Queen Victoria, which is very special. And we do have a condolence book so people can leave their messages about Diana. And we do have a nice book full of different messages that people have left as they've come through the exhibit, which I think is wonderful.
Now this is a lifelong passion of yours?
Yes, it is.
For people in Branson, maybe a little bit more isolated than other parts of the country, why is this important?
Well, I think it's important so that people can learn about the history of the British monarchy. First and foremost, we are descendants of the British monarchy. You know, we did fight the American Revolution. You know, and a lot of people are fascinated with British royalty. You know, we don't have royalty in our country, but yet we feel very close to them. Diana's story, you know, resonates so well with people anyway because, number one, she was a divorced mother. She had issues of her own, and women in our country, I think, can relate to her in so many ways. And I think that's why you get that people are so fascinated with her story. Yeah. And I think that now with this recurring wedding that's coming up, I think you're going to see a resurgence because people are going to want to know, who is this woman, Diana? You know, the mother of the future king. You know, who is this person that they keep mentioning is not there, is going to be very, you know, much a shadow in the wedding. And I think people now are going to want to come out and touch and be part of her, which I think is very cool.
I think one of the things that resonates with me personally is her heart. Yeah. I mean, she really didn't seem to even like being royalty. No.
She would always comment. She always said that, you know, when people would be introduced to her, oh, just call me Diana. You know, she didn't want the title. She didn't want the glam that went with it. She just wanted to be Diana. And I think that's why a lot of people love her so much. And because she really was the Queen of Hearts.
And what was her relationship with Mother Teresa?
She worked very closely with Mother Teresa. They actually, Diana worked very close with her mission. She did several tours with Mother Teresa, and they went and visited the lepers and all that stuff. I mean, they really were very close. And how weird that the week that Diana died, Mother Teresa would die 5 days later. It's just, to me, it's just amazing.
She kind of looked up to her, right?
Yeah, she did.
That was a figure. I don't know anyone else where she ever talked in terms of admiration.
That's right. She loved Mother Teresa.
People that aren't familiar with Diana, that live in the area, there's also a video beforehand. Yes. And that sort of goes through her life.
Yeah. It gets a 15-minute film that gives you basically the highlights of Diana's life and walks you through, starting with, of course, her birth, and it touches upon almost every aspect of Diana's life, which is similar to how this exhibit's laid out. We lay it out in zones, so you basically understand and get an idea as to all the zones of Diana's life, starting with her birth on up to her death, her untimely passing.
I guess the last thing that I would want to add personally is every girl, or it seems like every girl at one time in her life wants to be a princess.
That's right.
And there's an amazing story about Diana where she kind of didn't want to be and took it as a mission to do good in the world. And I think that's an important message for the children.
It is. It is. And I think it's nice the fact that little girls can come here and get close to a real princess and understand that there really are real princesses out there. Because we all remember fairy tales, you know, and unfortunately their marriage didn't end with happily ever after. But hopefully the next generation will end up having the fairy tale that we wanted.